Yo, what's up guys? My name is Sansworld and today we're going to be making a bass house drop. So I've taken the liberty of pretty much choosing the vocals, choosing the uplifters, and choosing the fills in order to move this along faster. So just a quick tips for this. Now we're going to be utilizing Cymatic's new bass house pack, which is called Jaws, which is meant to pretty much give you guys the sound of bass house. The pack is mainly meant for that genre. You can use it for dubstep as well, but mainly if I were to buy it, I would use it for that. They are going to give away free presets though if you want to check it out, and they're also doing a free giveaway for speakers if you want to enter that. And even though if you don't want to, I still suggest you go join their group because Steven always does live streams, and a lot of you guys are always asking me about marketing. And if you guys want to know how to market, then you got to go check Steven out because that guy is crazy. Now let's get straight to the drop. So I've taken the liberty of picking out the sound that I'm going to use for this drop. It's going to be the carburetor from the pack. It's going to be more of a bassier kind of, not so much wobbly house feel to it, but it sounds like this. Very cool. And then the whole idea of the pack as well is that you get a sample pack that comes with it. So the kick comes from that sample pack and it sounds like this. Now one key thing I want you guys to take out of this is the idea and the fact that the kick is very tiny. Now the reason for the kick being very tiny, guys, is because when you go into mix downs or when you go into mastering, if you have a big kick and a big bass, they're never gonna get along. And honestly, I used to talk to some guys that used to do mastering for a living, and necessarily he would get these EDM tracks, and he told me, like, I don't think he wants me to tell you guys, but as long as I don't give a name, I should be fine. He told me that a lot of the times people would send him a track and the track would be fine, like it would be mastered fine, but the only problem was the kick. And then he said that he would just change the fucking kick of a track, and necessarily he would send it back to the person would be like, holy shit, it sounds so much better, what did you do to it? And necessarily he said, oh, I did all this stuff to it, but all he did was he changed the kick. And the kick is very important. Now Cymatics have taken the liberty of making, these bass house kicks, and one of the things that you need to note out of it is the fact that they're all punchy. They're all little, small, and they're not going to be fucking long kicks where this kick is going to be all the way over here. No, necessarily the kick's power is like around here, and everything else behind it is just going to be sort of like just residue, let's just say that. So necessarily you want a small kick like this. You're not going to want like a fucking huge fat kick like in Big Room House or a huge fat kick like in techno. And to be honest, most kicks nowadays, if you're not utilizing a big room kick, most kicks that are used are going to be short and punchy like this. All right, guys, so with that getting out of the way, let's get to the drop. It's very important to note, though, because if you're going to make a drop and it's not sounding the way you want it to, it might just be the kick and you don't know it. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to make our MIDI. Now we're going to drag it. Let's make this like this. Command Shift or Control Shift M is a shortcut for making MIDI on the fly. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna be in the scale of G minor. And what I'm going for in my head is don 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 don. Pretty much that's gonna be it. So let's try this. So I think it's double don don. We're gonna have like a little gap here, don don don. So we want that to kind of be. Now in bass house and wobble house, you're not gonna hear the bass move around a lot, and the reason for that is because drops that don't move around a lot, that are not melodic, tend to hit harder. That's why a lot of you guys remember the big room era where like the drop would just be this percussive sound like. And those drops tended to be the ones that would drive people crazier because they were fucking harder, and that's because they didn't have any melodic aspect to it. Melodics necessarily takes away from power to a certain extent. You can't compare, Krakatoa by Carnage to, Umid Oskan's Raise Your Hands. Krakatoa is going to hit harder just because it doesn't have that melodic element to it. So what we're going to do now is just go with that. Now, bass house necessarily is going to usually do G, and it's usually a semitone up or a semitone down, which sounds like this. So necessarily G sharp isn't part of the G minor scale, but it still works, and I feel like it gives it that bad boy feel. So whenever you're trying to go for that bad boy feel, just go one semitone up. You will never go wrong. So we're gonna go back to the roof note. So dun 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 dun. Okay, that's too much. There you go. That's how we want it now. I was gonna say that's how daddy wants it. Holy shit. Alright, so we're gonna drag. I think Command J should work. It should make the MIDI bigger. And it also consolidates. That's the shortcut. Dun dun. Dun dun dun. Dun. I don't know if I want to add this at the end. Now, key thing to note, rhythm is very important on your drops. Keep that in mind. I think I'm gonna go one semitone up and then bring it back, duplicate that. Trying out a variation here. I don't know if that's gonna work. Let's try with the kick. Now what we're gonna do is apply the sidechain, which I already have, so. Alright, so these vocals, I'll get into them right now, but let's just finish the drop. Okay, that's not gonna work. We'll just leave it the same way. So we're just gonna duplicate it. Now what we have here, guys, is gonna be an uplifter, and necessarily, again, the sample pack that comes with this is gonna have all this for bass house. It's made specifically for bass house, so that's the cool thing. The drum loop on the drop is also from the sample pack. I suck at making drum loops, and you know what? I think fuck, never mind. I took it off. I'm gonna have to add them again. So pretty much the whole sample pack is just based on bass house, and necessarily, you know, it has a Jaws vocal phrases, which is just gonna be vocal shots.
Drop that ass and pick it up. Get loose in the club. We gonna tear the party up.
Which is cool. It's hard to find really nice and good fucking drop vocals like that. So necessarily what we have is just an uplift and a fill that was provided by the sample pack.
Bitches get dope. That's how we get down.
Alright, so once we have that, what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna add the drums, because I suck at making drum loops. I've tried to fix it and it's been going good, but when it comes to making it on the fly, you guys are just gonna see me like go all over the place with it. So we're gonna find some that work. Alright, let's jump. Alright, so we're going to use this, but we're going to need some drop claps. And what those are going to be, and I think you guys know what they are. Yup. I don't know why, but just putting that on the drop always tends to make the drop just go wow, like sound just more energetic. Just make sure to get rid of them on your fills, which is usually going to be after 8 bars. We're going to keep it going. Gonna keep this going. There we go.
Bitches get dope, that's how we get down.
Now, necessarily, I added these already because I knew I was going to do it. But necessarily what I'm doing here is I'm getting the vocal and I just chopped the last part of it, which is the down. Now, necessarily in bass house, you know, it's very bass oriented and there's not a lot going on. So a lot of times producers are going to add vocals on the drop where, you know, you're going to have down, or like random shots. And this is just going to keep things interesting for the listener, which is very important, which I think we should probably add on the second part of the drop. So So we're gonna go to the fill.
Fuck bitches get dope, that's how we get down.
Alright, so let's see if we can make this more interesting, maybe. Alright, cool, that's what we're gonna do. So what we're gonna do is this. And this is cool stuff to do with the fills, guys. Don't get lazy with your automations. I find a lot of people tend to get lazy with them, but necessarily that's what is gonna make your tracks sound to the next level, and that's gonna be automation. So we're gonna automate some stuff here.
Bitches get dope, that's how we get down. Down, 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 down.
Alright, we're just gonna move the sound along so it doesn't sound simple. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna put an EQ8, or you can go with the audio filters, totally up to you. I don't like the audio filter because I feel like it kind of adds this kind of sound to it that I really don't like. So what we're gonna do here is maybe do a reverse, actually, and we're gonna just take this up, and then we're gonna bring it back down.
Bitches get dope, that's how we get down.
We don't want to take it all the way up.
Bitches get dope, that's how we get down. Down, 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 down.
So here we have those kind of offbeat. You can also add chants like what, or whatever you want to add. Necessarily, it's gonna work. So let's see.
How we get down, down.
So let's add a fill, which is gonna have to work. So there's fills.
How we get down, down. Bitches get dope. Fuck bitches get dope. That's how we get down, down, down.
All right, now we're gonna need more effects. We're gonna need kind of like a mini impact there to kind of make it sound like kind of like more down. That sounds fine. We're gonna put it right there, and we're gonna kind of cut it. That's just too expensive.
Fuck bitches get dope. That's how we get down, 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 down.
Now we're gonna add an uplifter, maybe the one from here, and that's gonna just necessarily make the track just sound a lot more hype.
Down, 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 down.
Now what we're gonna do is sidechain this, obviously.
Down, down.
We're gonna add more shots. So necessarily, we just need something to add more like at the end of like the guy's going down on every offbeat, and I think we can add something at the end of the bar. So if you, what I mean by that is, you know, watch. Wrong one. Sounds are fucking cool, by the way, guys. I necessarily don't like wobble house that much. That's just personally me. I know a lot of people are into it right now. The good thing about the pack is, as I was checking it out, is the fact that they utilize this LFO, by the way. And necessarily all you do is press down the key, and you necessarily have a fucking drop, and then you just mix and match the bass lines to kind of fit whatever's in your head, which is really, really cool. And then you have mods, which obviously take the sounds to a whole different level, whichever one you want to go with. Now, I was checking them. That's too rough for what I'm trying to go for. I think deep. I heard it before. There you go. We just need those kind of womp at the end of like here. So it's gonna be the fourth bar, and we're just gonna add them. And again, this is just ear candy for the listener.
Down.
So we just gotta make sure it's in the same key, obviously. So we're gonna go with here.
Down, down.
All right. So. We're gonna get rid of the low end on these. Now, if we were to get into mixing, which I'm not gonna get into in this video, one of the things that you would want to do is you would want to have stereo separation on all these shots. And what I mean by that is, if we have this, necessarily, since this is a shot, you kind of want to make it stand out. So one of the things you can do is add an S1 imager, which is just a stereo imager, and make it wide. And that way you're gonna have your bass in the center. So what we can do is do an S1 on this as well, and just kind of narrow it down. Now everything that we have is gonna surround the bass and the kick. So necessarily we're gonna have, I think the drum loops should be panned. Alright, we're gonna pan these to the right, and we're gonna pan the claps a little bit to the left. Now it's gonna be so minimal that people aren't gonna really notice it unless you're like a fucking mastering engineer and like trying to like fucking comment on people's track. Oh, you fucking panda, the hat's to the right, motherfucker, and shit. You know, which I don't think anyone's gonna do. But yeah, panning is very important and it opens up room, so we're gonna do that for that. Now the vocal shots, this one is a bit tricky.
Down.
Since the vocal shots aren't playing at the same time that this shot is playing, I think we should be able to make the vocals wide. So let's give it a shot.
Down, 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 down.
Let's try.
Down, down, down. Fuck bitches get dope, that's how we get down. Down.
And then you're gonna have your break down, 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 dun, 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 or whatever the hell you're gonna do. Anyways, guys, this has been just a standard bass house drop. Hopefully this video helped you guys in simplifying it down a bit more for you. And again, thanks for Cymatics for hitting me up for making this video. I always appreciate them coming to me. I always like checking out the stuff they're always coming out with. And one of the things, guys, is that some of you guys hate Cymatics paying or sponsoring YouTubers to, you know, make these type of videos. But in the end, guys, one of the things to take away from it is, instead of kind of being negative towards it, is see what they're doing that is making them stand out. If you have a great song, a great product, and you just go, oh, I'm just gonna post a Facebook post about it, and you don't get it out there necessarily for people to know that there's this amazing product out there, then it doesn't matter. You know, you have an amazing song that can send you to #1 Beatport or whatever. It's not gonna matter if you don't promote it, if people don't hear about it. Anyways, you guys, this has been Sandrolled. Again, make sure to check out the free giveaway that Cymatics is doing. You can check it out on my Facebook too. I'll post it about it later today, and I'll see you guys next time. The free presets, you guys should have seen an annotation in the beginning of the video if you wanted to get them, and I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to take care, and hopefully the next tutorial, you know, we do something even more crazy.